We're two best friends.
Two mediums that live in a virtual dream house.
Have our podcast taped and find out what happens when spirits get real.
Real funny. By the way, if you don't like cuss words, Dana, what do we rate it?
We're rated M for mediumship or Matt's immature.
I thought it was Matt is awesome, but whatever. Enjoy this episode.
This is I'm a Medium.
Ask me how.
I'm a medium, ask me how.
Matthew Tao.
Dana Willie, hi.
Hi, we're back for another episode of I'm a Medium, Ask Me How.
Wait, this isn't I'm a dominatrix. I'm going to tell you how?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I will tell you how and you'll like it.
We have another.
No, that's for later. Hi, everybody.
Hola, amigas and amigos and everything in between. Hi.
SOCKS, queso.
Sure.
Muy guapo.
I wish you would mentor me in Spanish, Dana.
Que pasa?
See.
Yeah.
That's
No
not how
say.
you say it. That's not how you say it.
Well, now that we've really just gone off the rails, I mean, we're ready. We're getting ready for vacation. It's for trade. To be fair, we're not really getting. I mean, it is kind of vacation, but we're getting ready for our development. Matthew Tao.
We searched high and low for our mentor.
We
And
looked
you know
under
what?
rocks.
What did
We looked in the attic, which you call your third floor, which I'll never understand.
Don't hate that I have a third floor.
We are going to get to development in a second, but for the longest time, Matt was like, I have to go upstairs. And I was like, you said that you live in a ranch. Like, I don't understand. He's like, no, that's my attic. And I was like, that's not an upstairs. That's an attic.
Well, potato, naturally born or developed, same thing.
Attic, upstairs, you call it, But no, we're about to step forward into some development for us, which is going to be really exciting. But I think it's cool to talk about development a little bit, because I think people get overwhelmed by development and shy away from development for various amounts of reasons. I think that on the flip side of things, I think people overly lean into development for other sorts of reasons. And so I think it's an interesting topic, because there's also very many different types of development. So there's a healthy array of discussion for us to have here today on I'm a Medium, Ask Me How with Matthew Tao and Dana Willie.
Yeah, welcome to the episode. You plugged in. Great. Let's develop. All right. So where do we start, Dana?
Well, let's start with how we developed. Yeah.
You go first.
Okay. No pressure. So this is a tender topic for me a little bit, because I think it's even though we have essentially our own school, if you will, and teach and everything, and I really honor development, and I prioritize development. It wasn't necessarily my path to this work in a formal development way, and a lot of what I did on the down low, and I did it by myself in the confines of my house. I did it through a lot of books to start with, and I did it through YouTube, and I did it wherever I could, for free resources. And, quite frankly, it was because I couldn't afford anything different. And as I was stepping into things, I felt shame around that. And I think I want to speak on it, because I think that there's a lot of people like me who couldn't afford the formal classes or the formal education. And I felt less than. in the community for a long time, because I didn't have these big names that I could say, well, I studied under so and so, and I didn't have the resume that everybody else had when it came to doing this work or being a medium. And I think it's cool to be able to study under somebody amazing, right? And at this point in my resume, I have been able to study under some incredible people, and I'm about to be able to study under some more incredible people and study under Arthur Finley and Eileen Davies and like some other incredible things. But I felt less than at one point in my mediumship development. And if I'm honest, there's still parts of me that feel like less than, because I didn't start my journey in the cookie cutter way that everybody's supposed to start it, right? And for a long time, I asked my guides, like, why? Like, if this was the path, if this was what you wanted me to do, then why'd you make it so damn hard to get here and have me figure out so much of this on my own? And I think that, I just want to normalize it for a second, that not everybody's going to have the resources to pay for a class, to pay for development circles, to pay for the resources they might need for their development journey. Now, that being said, I did make it to development circle. I found a way to get that $10, and it was hard. Like $10, you and I actually had this conversation the other night of like, $10 can feel like $1,000 when you don't have $10. And so like making that $10 happen was like a huge deal to me, to like make it to development circle, because I just felt like it was like, I need validation that this is real. I need validation. Like, I feel like I need to practice on other people before I just start going and practicing on the general public. There was something in my core that told me that's how this had to happen for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we just need to normalize that, like, everybody's path through development is different. And the benefit, I think, of me going through the path that I did was that I was able to trust myself more and develop a relationship with my spirit guides more than the average person. That kind of like, when I had a question about, hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed in public. I feel like I have a lot of spirits coming to me and I feel overwhelmed. I didn't have a class to go to, or a teacher to ask, or a mentor to ask, like, what do I do with this? I had my spirit team to ask, and I asked them, I was like, I feel overwhelmed. And they said, create a waiting room. And I was like, thanks guys. And then I was on my way. Like I was forced in a good way to create that relationship with my spirit guides. So I think there are benefits and obviously hindrances to how I came on and developed. And now that I do have the resources, and when I was able to do the resources, I did seek out formal mentorship and formal training. But God, it was something that I was like, I just need to be transparent with our listeners that it was something that I had a lot of shame around for a long time. And I was embarrassed to say that, like, I I don't have the fancy names under my resume that I can say I studied under so and so and so.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. So, what was Spirit's question? What was the answer to the question? So, you asked Spirit a question.
Yeah.
Why did you make it so hard? What was their answer?
Part of it was like, because uh, I like to figure things out for my own. It's the best way for me to learn things. We have this inside joke between the two of us that I don't like to be told what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so the best way for me to learn sometimes is to fall on my ass and like learn how to pick myself back up. That's like my best way of learning. So it was that. And then they also told me that I was going to be teaching. And I think one of the best ways, and this isn't to promote Matt and Dana Inc., but like one of the ways that we are different as teachers is we have a different approach to mediumship development and meeting our students where they're at, where we don't cookie cutter everything. We really look for nuanced ways of like, where is there a hole in education and where can we fix an issue that we're seeing kind of as a community or as a problem. And I'm better at the problem solving issue and finding that. And they knew that I was going to be a teacher. They knew that like I needed to figure this out for my own so I could help others. So there was a reason behind the madness, but it was definitely something that I had to figure out for myself. And there was a lot of ego that was bruised in all of that.
So maybe, so do you think, okay, looking back at yourself when you first started, that you would have taken all those formal classes? Do you think, and I know it's kind of being like what's done is done, but do you think that you would have been in a place to be receptive to that information?
Oh, I would have been. I was a sponge at that point. Like anywhere I could get any information, like I was literally reading any book that I could find. I was watching any YouTuber I could find that I resonated with. I was just sucking it all in. But what I was able to do is like find what was true to me, what felt true to me, and like throw out the rest.
Okay.
So, but what was cool about that is because it was free, I didn't feel an investment to take everything somebody said, right? Like, so I think if I would have paid for something, I would have felt a bigger investment to say like, well, then this is the gospel, right? Because it was free information. I was like, no, that resonates, that doesn't. And I was able to like, I'm going to take this, I'm going to leave that. I'm going to take this, I'm going to leave that. And so it was I was able to just take what meant something to me and leave the rest.
What's interesting that sparks to my head about this conversation is it sounds like you had an understanding of what mediumship was at the beginning of your journey. Okay. And I think that you had an understanding of where it was so you could have researched on your own. I think that sometimes we, like your story, I'm not trying to discredit it, but sometimes people don't know that there's a beginning until somebody tells you that this can be taught. Because that was my understanding, is that this couldn't be taught. This was not something that could be taught. You were either born with it or you weren't. Because I was exposed to Teresa Caputo, John Edward, Sylvia Brown, Janet Nohavec, later on, Lisa Williams, where you saw them. Oh, and also Amy Allen. That was a huger one for me, where I saw all these mediums not talking about mediumship development. Like none of them. It was I do the work. I'm on TV. Woohoo! Bye. And even Char Margolis, things like that. Okay, so I didn't know that this could be taught. That it was something you were born with or that you weren't. And I was having experiences that I didn't chalk up to mediumship. I didn't know what the fuck was happening to me. I was just like seeing shit that wasn't there. But I didn't think it was possible until I heard that I think it was Teresa Caputo was taught this through a mentor, that she had no experience in mediumship and then she had an interest in it. And I don't know her whole story, so I can't quote it, but that she sought out a mentor, Pat something.
Pat Longo.
Pat Longo, and that Pat Longo had taught Teresa Caputo. And so that's what sparked my interest in development, was like, okay, I have an interest in this. This sounds awesome. And then I walked into that development circle and that lady had said, hey, like you see things and someone's with you and there's a man here. And it popped up on my TikTok or my Facebook that they were holding classes. And I can remember being in the shower saying that this is going to change your life. But that was all that I knew. That was it. So I didn't have a proper way of being like, these are the steps you take to become a medium. I just learned you go to classes and you learn. You go to classes and you learn. And so you working with your guides, you had an idea. You had a predestined idea. I just showed up.
I don't know that I had a predestined idea. I just started like falling into it.
Right. But you at least had an idea of what the topic was about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like what guides were, like, because you were like, I'm talking to my guides, because you probably did some
I
guide work
didn't, I
before.
didn't, it's interesting to unpack this now,
Mm-hmm.
because like,
Mm-hmm.
I think you get so far down the trough of like, how did I get here? And like trying to put myself back into those shoes. And you start listening to all of these YouTube channel things or reading these books. And I think I just read enough things or heard enough things that they said your guide. And they're like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
if you guys are here, then start talking to me. And so I just started kind of having conversations with them. But um I just know that I was pulled towards this work.
Got it.
And I
Yeah.
think it was much like you, it was just, I think it's answering a call,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you don't know why you're pulled. You don't know why you saw that post on Facebook. You don't know why, like, all of a sudden this just keeps happening to you more and more. You don't know why you're interested in this out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
um and for me, and I think for you as well, like, this was just something that was like, for me, just ever present in my life from the day I was born. But I put it away and I was like, that's not me.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't like what I see on TV. This isn't like the movies. And so I didn't think that it was real. And it got to a point where it was so big and so loud that I couldn't ignore it. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll read a few books on it and see if this
Yeah,
is really something.
I don't think mine was loud. I don't think mine got louder and louder. I think it was an average day when I walked into that metaphysical shop that changed my life. I don't think that it was any other like build up this like
Mm.
probably like you, but in my head I'm thinking like I'm having experiences. I'm seeing shit in my home. Things are moving. I saw a lady's head float from one room to another. I would be uncomfortable in spaces, but it didn't. I don't think it built over time, but I think the math was mathing when I found out what it was.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I was tortured or tortured in the middle of the night. But it was more of like a light bulb went off where I was like, oh, that's what it was. What's really funny is I think in our journey, we're meant to be places where we're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's kind of what happened. And I let my mediumship unfold, my development unfold in the natural way of not um, searching it out. I know Megan Elisa fell onto my YouTube page.
Mm-hmm.
There's just fucking Megan Elisa on my page. And I remember looking at Megan being like, she's so cool. I hope I get to meet her one day. Well, now I'm friends with her. But like, it was spirit putting little nuggets in my path of being like, okay, Megan Elisa is where you're going to be. Like, they flashed things at me where I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
like, why would I just be drawn to this multicolored hair girl talking about spirit out of nowhere on my page? Like, why would I be drawn to that? Or they think spirit, like trusting, like I went to the metaphysical store shop and I sat in that circle. And I just got to give a shout out to Sharon D'Angelo, my mentor, my first mentor. I love her. I love her to death. She's a phenomenal lady. I think that I learned a lot from her, and she's a witch. She's a practicing witch. She's a high priestess, but her development came from the spiritualist church. And her friends used to go every single Sunday, and they were very involved, and it was part of her life for a really long time. But the church aspect didn't resonate with her, but the Wiccan side did. But she still practiced mediumship as if she was a spiritualist medium with more of an open mind, which is cool. And then her friend came to the class, and I was reading in the circle and I'm practicing. And I can remember sitting in that class, and it was an intuitive class, but I had no fucking idea what the difference between intuitive and mediumship was. And I kept bringing through dead people over and over and over and over again. And she's like, honey, we don't do that here. And I can remember there was a class, so sweet lady. She tried to give you all the tools, and she would show you different tools every single week, kind of like what we do in Let's Get Connected, or no, Spiritual Fun Day. And she we were spinning aluminum foil. We were trying to move the foil with our mind on a glass thing, and I said, I paid $20 for this. I talk to dead people, and that was the moment I was like, I was a medium. And so she really encouraged me to say that, to like, as ownership. Now I didn't, like, now going back, I wish I could have said I was a developing medium, but you know, my sweet Sharon is all about standing in your power, and I love that about Sharon. um and I can remember this was like 2019, so it's been a little of a hot minute. But her friend came and she handed me Janet Novak's information, and she said, "You need to be here, like you need to be at a journey within." And I can remember going, and you know that big fish in a little pond scenario. All my life I've been told I'm an amazing artist, you know, but when you go and you're amongst other artists, you're like, okay, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. I can remember having that insecurity going to my first a journey within beginner's circle, and I'm just reading and I'm reading and I'm reading, and then Lisa Williams pops up on my Facebook page. Like, so Spirit's guiding me through social media, putting it into my face, right? And even if Suri's still listening and she's putting stuff in front of your face, that's cool too, because you know what? Maybe I do owe my development to Suri and the algorithms for listening. But Lisa Williams popped up on my page, and she was running mediumship, like foundational classes, and I took all of them. And I started falling in love with it more and more, and like I would listen to everything that I possibly could. Like I would buy John Holland's book on Audible, and when I cleaned my pool, I'd listen to a chapter, or if I had a break at work, I'd listen. I went out and I bought books, as many books as I could. But the problem that I was finding was that fear was all in it, and there's something about me that I just realized it really makes my skin crawl. It makes me physically nauseous when people, and maybe this is my closed mindedness. So bear with me if you believe in all this, but it's like people could be that out of it to believe in everything. Where I was like, well, science can't back any of this up. And I have a really huge fear of falling into a cult way back when. That was like my huge fear. Like I would literally be like, okay, if I'm going to be a bystander to this and watch it go on, that's going to help me. But I think my boundaries around that really pushed me forward to the direction that I needed it to be in. So I was trusting my intuition and my gut, because I would fall into circles where they would do activation codes. They would do some off the wall stuff. And I just remember being like, this isn't for me. And I would leave. I've had people tell me, we need a medium in every pod to save this from this galactic war. And we're going to send angels over to people's homes. I would sit in development circles where they would make people cry, saying that their twin flame was suffering, and so that's the reason why they were suffering. And it was, I'm just watching all this disempowerment go on. And I think when I had sat down with somebody and I said, like, this is how I'm feeling, this is what's going on, I'm really like uncomfortable, I think that's when that person saved me and gave me Janet Novak of being like, sweetie, no, like, here you go, here's this card. And I owe it all to her for that, because that put me on the right path. But there was no like, you need to go here, 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 here. Like there was no designated like, this is what you do. I just kind of like I learned it all from just showing up. And I took what resonated and I discarded the rest. I mean, there's mentors that I've had that do things that I don't, it's not that I don't agree with, but that just don't resonate with me. And that doesn't make them a bad person. Like one thing that I don't kind of do, but other people do and they like it, is like the inspiration in the room. Like if your eye's like a flower, like I am straight up, like if it doesn't come through my five senses from the other side, I'm not going to pull from a room inspiration. Does that kind of make sense? And I may do it here and there, but I don't do it as a consistent thing in my practice. Or, you know, and I learned a lot of different techniques through different people, because my whole head was like, well, you have to read like Teresa Caputo. Like to be a valid medium, you have to read like Teresa. But then I would see different styles. And I think that's also what pulled me to some mentors of being like, I liked the way that you read. Show me. Show me what I'm going to learn what I'm going to learn. And it was nice because it was a different varying perspectives. And so I fall into like 5 development circles a week. And it wasn't that I was addicted and I needed to get all these readings in or anything like that, but it was being around like people. I was a practicing Wiccan at the beginning of my journey. I have journals that have little spell books, and I went to a year and a day classes, and then I stopped going because I was like, this is not what's resonating for me. I don't need to work with Loki. Like, this is your heart guides you in your development. So whether you're like Dana, where you're doing the work by yourself, or you're going like me and you're going to classes, your heart will tell you the truth. And so I think like that's something that needs to be universal for everybody, is that we all have different truths, we all have different paths. Nobody's less than, because when you're starting out, regardless of what side of the path you're on, you don't have a map. You're making your map as you're going. You're passing your truths of your marks, of your benchmarks. So I that's one thing that I really want to clarify with like my journey, is that like I had no fucking idea what I was doing. I just had to pay the fuck attention. Like I had to pay attention to the things that were like happening that lit me up. And if it didn't light me up, I just moved on. And I just went to another thing. But you know, kind of going back to the different styles, like Lisa would do a little bit more performative mediumship, and I liked the way that Lisa would like stake the spirit into her energy and have those conversations. And every time that she got a piece of information, she always made sure she said thank you. I loved that about Lisa. Janet, super strict. Janet Nohavec, if you don't know who she is an ex-nun. And when I remember her speaking about her journey, and she said, I developed my mediumship a little bit with the spiritualist church, but I was a nun where I sat with spirit every single day. Every single day I sat with spirit. And I learned from her to listen from spirit, listen to your connection between you and God. And then she also had that nun attitude where I'm going to beat it out of you if you don't stop. Because I remember writing in my journal, because that's how I learned in the development circles. Because when you're in a development circle in person, everyone goes around the circle and they all do their thing. And then by the time it gets to you, I didn't learn how to hold a link. So I would write everything down as I was getting it. And they would always have me go last. Like, that's what I loved about it, because that gave me a lot of time to do it, but I was pre-linking the whole entire time. So by the time I got to Janet, she was like, no, bitch, we don't write things down. Well, she didn't say bitch. R.I.P. Janet. But she would say, that's not for you to hold on to. So why are you writing it down? Give it live. And she beat it out of me, of being like, that's something. And it was learning from her the spiritualist way. And I really dug the spiritualist way because it was a celebration of the mediumship as its whole. There was no bells or whistles added onto it, that I needed to worship any deity, that I needed to live in fear, that it was all about the spirit world of what was possible for the spirit world. And it was not like, if you put a welcome mat outside your door, you're going to get a demon. Or if you do a Ouija board, that you're going to pull into some portal. Like that all to me and my belief is all bullshit to me. And so Janet was speaking truths, and she was just saying truths. And then I ended up going to a couple more people, and then I ended up at Oak Ridge, and I took a couple of circles and some stuff from them, and it just spirit got me where I needed to be. And I'm still learning, but it's more a spiritualist view, and I'm cool with that. I think that resonates for me for now. It might change later on based on my experience, but there is no roadmap that I needed to follow. I just had to pay attention and listen to what was being told to me. Now, am I grateful for the people that I got to learn under? Yes, because I think one thing coming from somebody that learned under somebody is that I had the respect of realizing now that how much time it takes to become a medium, and how much sitting it becomes to take a medium, how much books and resources and all these people that I call my mentor have such a foundation to them and a knowledge to them, that they are not only learning from somebody else, but their self-discovery adds on more. And so I got to learn from a legacy of time and effort and sitting and experience and failures and doing all that cool stuff that I was able to absorb maybe a percentage of it, but it was like I get to carry them with me. And so, like, to me, that's like a huge honor that I got to do some stuff. Now, I do have some regrets on some people, but like it formulated my own little self discovery with spirit that I get to share with you folks. Mm-hmm. Thank you for letting me rant for about 10 minutes.
No, I love this. I think the take home for both of us is, and I think for everybody, is there is no right way. Mm-mm. And I think just like we
I'm going to stop. I'm going to counteract it. There is a right way. You want to know what the right way is? Your way.
Well, I was gonna get there, but you just had to like interrupt me, so it made it sound like it was your fucking idea.
Okay, you say it. You say it. You say it.
I was getting there.
Say it.
I was getting there, Tao.
I'm your guide. Say it.
But I think everybody we always say at Matt and Dana Inc. that everybody has their own special spice, and I think to make everybody the same cookie cutter medium, or to have everybody have the same cookie cutter experience, that's not that's everybody is drawn to this work for whatever reason, and the same person, there's going to be somebody that needs a mediumship reading that is going to be attracted to me to get that reading because I'm the person that has the life experience and is the right medium for them. Conversely, there's going to be somebody else that's going to be drawn to Matt because Matt is going to be the right medium for them. And there's going to be somebody else that's going to be attracted to work with you because you are the right medium for them. And we all have different paths. We all have different learning styles. We all have our special spice and our different reasons for why we are drawn to this work. I think sometimes too, we get into like these certain camps of like, I just learned from this person. I'm a huge proponent of like learning from different teachers in different spaces. I think that, one of the things kind of echoing back to what I was talking about is like, it's okay for you to learn from lots of different people, but remembering that you can take what works for you and resonates and throw out the rest. And sometimes you might go to a circle or go to a teacher and be like, this is not for me at all. And it's not a lost cause, because the more that you learn about what is and is not for you, you're finding that authenticity inside of you, and you're finding out more and more about your style and who you are and what resonates for you and the direction that you are being pulled into. So I never want anybody to feel like, oh, I tried this development circle and it wasn't for me, so I'm just going to quit development circles. No, there's something to learn there. What didn't you like? I went to plenty of the horror stories of development circles are out there, but there are equally as many good development circles out there as well. And I'm very proud of the ones that we run, but I understand that our space isn't the right space for everybody as well. Agreed. So finding the place that is right for you, where you are in your journey, is really important. You should feel safe. You should feel like that whoever is running the space knows what they're doing and that you resonate with them. You should feel that it's a space free of drama, because these spiritual spaces will get full of drama. Because I've been in a couple of good development circles that I was really liking, and then they got full of drama, and it was like, oh well, that blew up.
Comparison, man. It's when the comparison starts and the teacher doesn't shut it down. Oh shit. Oh shit. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah. And I always say that, like, the whole purpose of going to a development circle is to begin to trust what we're getting more and more. And that's trusting our intuition and trusting when a space or a person doesn't feel safe or feel healthy or feel like it's going to push us forward anymore. And that, I never want to ever put like, this is a bad person. We can just say that this space isn't right for me and move
Mm-hmm.
on to a different space and take from it what it is. But I want to go into a different kind of direction, Matt, because I think this kind of goes into the same thing of like vetting your teachers or vetting
Yeah.
your mentors or whatever. But like there are a lot of different options for development, and certainly there are free resources out there. I mean, you're listening to a free resource right now. There's a lot of YouTube channels. There's like social media, there's TikTok, there's Facebook groups, there's all kinds of different things that are free out there. Books are somewhat free. You can go to a library and check out books and different things, but there's lots of books on the subject out there. But when it comes to actually like stepping forward and actively doing development,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, I'm big on getting your feet dirty and getting in there and actually actively doing exercises and doing things. And so I'm a huge proponent of development circles. I think that's one of the best things that you can do in practicing and working and developing versus mentorship. And I think that a lot of people will rush towards mentorship. Um, and no shame, like there are people with social anxiety that get really uncomfortable in group settings.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe their schedule doesn't work and so they have to do a private mentorship or whatever. But private mentorship can be very expensive. There's a limitation to how much can be done in a private mentorship space. They're just you know development circles are far more economic. There's
Mm-hmm.
a lot more variety that can be done in development circles. And I don't know, there's just a lot more longevity that can be done in development circles. So I'm a huge proponent for development circles. I think mentorship is phenomenal. I think the needle can be moved so much in mentorship, but it should typically be reserved for when you're trying to nuance a piece of, or you're having this challenge that you need somebody to kind of fine tooth comb with you and work through some different things with you.
Yeah, I kind of say like mediumship development is like an ice cream cone, right? So I think that development circles are more of the cone of the, we got to hold it, it's foundational, and classes as well are the cone. It's the foundation to your ice cream cone. I think the reading and the self work and the practice is the actual ice cream itself, because you get to enjoy your way through it, right? Mentorship is the cherry on top. It's the decorative piece to complement the entire thing. And if you are one of those mediums that have had your entire journey through a mentor, great, that's awesome too. Like, I don't want to yuck your yum, but I just know it's very expensive. So if you have disposable income, that's for you, girl. And go to the mentor. But I think the mentor is there to finesse you. I think that the experience of development circles, the experience of working with different people, is kind of the ice cream that you're kind of not enjoying. So if you did the entire mentorship with a mentor, go out and do some development circles, enjoy your ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that you're missing out on a big chunk. It's also a safe place. I think also with mentor, it's private, but I think with other people, you're reading various different people, you're seeing different styles, you're learning to read not just the same spirit over and over and over and over again. I find that mentorship can often be restricting as well in some aspects, depending on your mentor. Like, I've seen some mentors that are very open and very amazing, but I've seen some mentors that are saying, "Don't go watch other mediums. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this." So the mentorship shouldn't be a lot of don't. It should be a lot of encouraging you to do things, encouraging you to do that. So vet your mentor,
Mm-hmm.
um, but also, like, if that resonates for you, great. I think that with mentorship as well, Switching up your mentor, not always going with the same one. I think that you can have a variety, and a lot of them are the mentors that I know usually do things as an increment. It's not a lifelong thing. And so you'll either mentor with somebody for like 4 weeks off and on. You might do like an 8 week package, but if it has an end date, go to another mentor, because I think everybody has a different spice, like Dana said, and maybe you can be an allspice or Italian seasoning. I don't know. You can be a little bit of everything. And I think variety of learning from different people is fantastic. Um, there's one more thing I want to say about mentors is that um, it's helpful to have them. I think the misconception with mentors is that like it's an apprenticeship. You know what I mean by that?
Mm.
So it's like say plumbing. You can't be a plumber unless you've had mentorship and mentorship hours, and then that has been signed up. That's not like mediumship, folks. Like we don't become your um, wizard teacher and mentor. Um, and that's not how it works. This is not ye old England and a fantasy land. You can have many of them, and it's okay to have many of them. And I want to
Mhm.
stress that because you outgrow. A mentor can only take you as far as they know.
Mhm. Well, and I think that a red flag for me is any teacher or any mentor that isn't open to you learning from multiple places and multiple people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I we're very encouraging, probably too much so, like, as business owners ourselves, like we're probably too much so encouraging of like, go other places, like from a
Mm-hmm.
business model, it's not the strongest business model, but
No.
we truly don't believe in comparison or competition.
Mm-mm.
We truly want what's best for all of our students, and if that's not with us, that's okay. We want what's best for our students, and you should be looking for somebody who truly is okay with you going with what is best for you and is going to meet you where you are.
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm not a huge fan of, because I've done different types of mentorships as well, where it's a cookie cutter thing of like, okay, week one, we're going to do this, and week two, we're going to do this. And it doesn't meet you where you're at or where your specific needs are. You want a mentor. If you're going to do mentorship, that is going to sit with you and like, what are your goals? Why are you seeking this out? What do you want to achieve by doing this, and then meet you where you're at, instead of like, all right, in this 10-step program you're gonna da, 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 da. Like, I think everybody is so unique. Again, coming to the full
They're all
crux
different
of this
clay.
conversation, right? We
Yeah.
are all so very unique that you want somebody that can really meet you where you're at, and help you meet your goals. And
And
you
how
need to be
you.
flexible. Let me just say
Yes.
this: no matter if it's a development circle, if it's a mentorship, if it's a class, be flexible in trying some new things.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be the way that you've tried it up to this point. It may be completely different, but you wouldn't be seeking something out if you didn't want to change and improve something. And it may feel like falling on your ass, but know that there's a reason why, and that we're guiding you for a reason to do something, and it's probably to strengthen something that's weaker, to make we're probably making you take something away that you're really strong in, so we can strengthen something that you're weaker in. But it's going to feel really uncomfortable, but being flexible and open to trying something new.
I think like there's I don't know how to say this, so bear with me, and Logan, you can edit this part out if you want to. Is that like we have a misconception as developed mediums when we go to a development that we are better than, or that we have it all figured out. But there's obviously something that drew you to go learn something different, and something that you were doing was not consistent and it did not work for you, and you want to learn more to be better, right? And so like going in as a developed medium to a mentor is be open-minded. right? Like, I don't think that ever, like you kind of said those words, like, they didn't let me do what I wanted to do, would probably not be the best thing. Like, you really should self reflect and look within yourself if you're saying something like that when you're
Mhm.
going to learn something new.
Mhm. It's
Just,
going to be uncomfortable.
mm-hmm.
Remember that you're learning something. If
Yep.
you if you were perfect at this, then you wouldn't need development. You wouldn't need
Correct.
to learn or grow or refine. We're all and to that point, we're always learning and growing and refining. And there's always room to continue to grow and expand our understanding of what we're doing.
And take feedback.
Mhm.
You're going to get a lot of feedback in mentorship, or you should hopefully get a lot of feedback
If
in
you're not,
mentorship.
then again, not the right mentor.
Yeah. You should
If
get,
you go in and all they tell you is like you did great.
yeah, well, you just paid a lot of money to be told you're awesome. And that is not what a learning space is for. We don't go into learning spaces to be the master of it. If you're going to a development circle, class, or thing in hopes to walking out feeling good, it's probably not, you're not learning anything. We don't learn in success, we learn in opportunity. And so if you are struggling, there's a reason. And spirit shows up to teach you just as much as you are there to learn. They know what you need to work on. And have you ever noticed when you go to a circle or a class, you don't do well in the
Mhm.
best classes? Because spirit's like, okay, I'm, and to the medium, to the other spirit or whatever it is, I'm going to teach them patience and to say it. And your
Mhm.
whole time fighting yourself from saying the things that you're supposed to say. Spirit knows what your opportunity is. They're going to challenge you.
Mhm.
There's reasons why in every single class, whether it's good or bad, that you should self reflect and journal. We didn't say journal in the development thing. I needed to get that out. And you should be journaling of like, what did I learn? Is this a trend? What's going on? How am I feeling? What is, you'll thank yourself later.
Mhm.
You'll thank yourself later. Uh, there's just so much, there's so many roads that you can take. Now, a couple of things that I'm going to suggest to all developing mediums, whether you're step 1 or step 101, is sitting in the power is the best thing that you can do for your mediumship. So sit as often as you can. Your personal development and relationship with spirit is super important, so don't neglect that. It's not all about learning the mechanics of it. 90% of the mediumship development is self development. So if you are triggered by something, look at that trigger. How is it affecting you? Because spirit's trying to get you to get that out of the way
Mhm.
so you can have a clearer message. Understand the power, understand the essence of a power. So I know at the spiritualist church, Michael had said to us, Michael Mayo, they used to make mediums sit in the spiritualist church in a home circle for years before they could even touch a development circle. But when they did that, they had a huge understanding of when things were different, when their power was rising, when their power was softening. They are able to recognize spirit communication immediately from another medium. They have an understanding to the power. So if you can get in a home circle, I highly suggest doing that as a complement to a development circle. I don't think that, I think to keep more people active, because it's a lot of sitting, is get into a development circle and a home circle at the same time. Like, that's cool too. You can find cheap ones, you can find free ones. They have some through spiritualist churches. You can go to your local, I think, national, no, I think it's the Spiritualist Church National Union website,
Mhm.
and you can try to find a church near you or a home circle. Go on the internet, research, try to find things that resonate with you. And just because you're going to, like, let's say you are Wiccan, I'm just going to use Wiccan because my friend Sharon, she popped in my head, does not mean that you can't practice another practice. It might broaden your understanding of your own spiritual practice. Go in with an open mind and leave your spiritual beliefs out of the window, like off to the side, and be open minded to what they're teaching you, because it's going to be amazing, and you're going to have an amazing time.
Have an open mind, and I
Mm-hmm.
can't say that to more. Just be flexible and open. Be discerning, obviously, but like have an open mind. Be flexible, and know that you're being drawn wherever you're being drawn, and know that you know we look for community. We've done a couple episodes on community, but just because your friend is doing something doesn't mean you have to do it too. You may be drawn to something and your friend may be drawn in another direction. That doesn't mean that you have to do everything cookie cutter with the way that your friend's doing it. Know that you are being pulled on a path for whatever reason you're being pulled on that path. And when you can do it with your friend, that's totally dope. But sometimes you just need to go wherever you're being pulled and trusting your intuition, trusting where you're being pulled, trusting to whatever teachers you're being pulled to. You're being pulled towards them for a reason. Take whatever you can. When it doesn't feel like that space offers anything for you anymore, that's okay. That's okay. It doesn't mean that they're a bad teacher. It just means that space isn't for you anymore, and that's okay. This is a journey, not a destination, and I've said that 1,000 times, and I'll say it 1,000 times more. But I think, as we expand and we grow and we learn, the more that you trust that pull, the more that you trust where this is taking you. And that, going full circle back to what I was talking about in the beginning, I was developed perfectly for my journey. It's when I started to compare myself to others that the problem came in. I've always been an ethical medium. I've always dedicated myself to the spirit world. I've always worked hard to do the very best that I could. It's only when I started to compare myself or worried about what other people thought of me. Keep your eyes on your own paper. Do what feels right to you, what feels right in your soul. Don't do it because you have to. Do it because it brings you joy and fulfillment. And that is what gets you the closest to the spirit world, is that love, joy, and fulfillment.
Word.
Mic drop. All right. Well, we love you guys. We hope that gives you something to think about. And, and one last thing, and then we'll leave you. It's also okay to take breaks from your development. Do it. There are going to be times that you want to do this like 24/7 and it's all you can eat, sleep, dream about. It's all you want to do. And then there's times where you're just like, I don't want to think about it anymore. And that's okay. It's going to be here when you come back.
Yes, it will. What we said. I'm not gonna apologize for that.
You're not going to. We made a word. Are you on the Mapology tour?
Too late to apologize.
Too late. All right. Well, we love you guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye. Apologize. I'll never apologize. I'm not that kind of Matt.